TheStreet919FM.com. News from the Street, 919FM.com. Here's what's happening.
Good afternoon. I am Vanessa Thomas with the 4 o'clock news on the Street, 919 FM, and online Facebook and YouTube. In the headlines, increase in unvaccinated COVID-19 patients at hospital. People needing a third COVID-19 dose may not be considered fully vaccinated. Internationally, U.S. President Joe Biden to visit U.S. ports in a bid to resolve a shipping crisis. And now the news in detail. The Ministry of Health continues to notice an increase in the number of patients requiring ICU-level treatment, and most of these patients are unvaccinated or not fully vaccinated. Principal Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Miriam Abdul-Richards, said the ministry plans to increase capacity in the parallel healthcare system to deal with the situation.
We continue to see a significant percentage and a significant number of unvaccinated or persons who are not fully vaccinated requiring intensive care unit level care.
Dr. Abdul-Richards said 52 of the 60 ICU beds in Trinidad are currently occupied, and in Tobago, 2 of those ICU beds are occupied by 5 people. She added that 46 of the patients are unvaccinated. Abdul-Richards said the Health Ministry is doing all it can to manage the increased demand for ICU beds.
We have increased ICU bed capacity at the Cuba Medical and Multi-Training Facility, the Point Fortin Hospital, the St. James Medical Complex. We have also added ward-level beds. We have reactivated the field hospital at the Port of Spain, out of the Port of Spain General Hospital and at the NWRHE.
Abdul-Richards said if the increasing trend continues, the country's health resources will soon be depleted. She encourages the population to get vaccinated.
Vaccination reduces your chance of developing COVID-19 and reduces the risk of transmission. Vaccination reduces your risk of hospitalization and the need for care in an ICU or HDU setting. And vaccination saves lives.
Meanwhile, epidemiologist Dr. Avery Hines is saying that many people who are coming in for the additional 3rd dose of the COVID-19 vaccine may not be considered fully vaccinated. Dr. Hines clarified their vaccination status at Wednesday's COVID-19 health update.
Because we have identified individuals whose sustained immune response requires an additional primary dose, until you get that additional primary dose, you wouldn't really consider yourself to be fully vaccinated.
Dr. Hines said new information about the dosage will be discovered as research on the vaccine continues.
The research comes through on how well your immune system responds in the first place, how well your immune system sustains that response, and how long that response can be sustained for. All of this information is then going to modify what qualifies as fully vaccinated, the frequency with which additional vaccinations may or may not be required.
Since the 3rd dose initiative began on Tuesday, over 100 doses were administered to the public. In more news, a startling 512 new positive cases of COVID-19 have been reported by the Ministry of Health. Those results were taken from samples taken between November 6th to November 9th. The number of active positive cases now stands at 6,036. In the past 24 hours, there have been 12 additional COVID-19 related deaths. The ministry said there were 7 men and 5 women, all of whom had pre-existing medical conditions. Their deaths take the COVID-19 related death toll to 1,806. Meanwhile, over 50 people in schools have tested positive for the virus since in-person classes restarted. Epidemiologist Dr. Avery Hines gave a breakdown of the numbers in several districts.
So for Port of Spain and environs, there were 5 confirmed positives up to November 5th. For St. George East, there will be 16. For Northeastern, 12. For Caroni, 3. For St. Patrick, 7. For Victoria, 5. And for Southeastern, 7. These are the confirmed positives in each of those districts.
International news, the coronavirus pandemic is creating excessive delays in U.S. shipping, with some importers once again warning that Christmas gifts could be late. With backlog mounting, President Joe Biden will visit ports across the U.S. in a bid to resolve a shipping crisis. We have this Al Jazeera report to tell us more.
At least 100 giant cargo ships are floating in limbo off the Southern California coast, carrying billions of dollars worth of goods they can't unload. It's the most visible sign of today's global supply chain crisis.
We have never seen the volume of containers we're seeing today. We are busier than ever. We are at full capacity. But the warehouses are also fully subscribed.
The ports of LA and Long Beach are the largest in the U.S., handling about 40% to one-half of all imports, mostly from China. But due to COVID-era online spending sprees by American consumers, staffing shortages, and sheer lack of storage capacity compared to the volume of shipping, the ports are jammed, even after ramping up to 24/7 operations.
The pandemic had the effect of impacting every segment of the supply chain all at the same time. On top of that, the pandemic triggered heightened demand for goods overseas from U.S. consumers. U.S. consumers are buying goods at a historic pace.
U.S. President Joe Biden has allocated government funding and is urging more coastal ports, warehouses, trucking companies, and other links in the supply chain to work 24/7 to solve the problem.
We have to take action now, together with our partners in the private sector, to reduce the backlogs that we're facing.
And that was the 4 o'clock news on the street, 919 FM, and online Facebook and YouTube. Recapping the headlines: increase in unvaccinated COVID-19 patients at hospital. People needing a third COVID-19 dose may not be considered fully vaccinated. And internationally, U.S. President Joe Biden to visit U.S. ports in a bid to resolve shipping crisis. Do enjoy your afternoon and continue to be safe. I am Vanessa Thomas. Aisha Wells, she's up next.